How far can obsession push someone? To lie, betray, and even kill, just to get what they want? In this episode, we're diving into the chilling case of Sheila Davalloo, a brilliant pharmaceutical researcher whose tangled web of lies, affairs, and obsessions led to two brutal crimes: the attempted murder of her own husband and the murder of her romantic rival. What makes this case even more shocking is how Sheila, highly educated and seemingly put together, thought she was clever enough to outsmart everyone, including the police, prosecutors, and even a jury. This isn't just another true crime story. This is the story of how one woman's fixation destroyed multiple lives and landed her in prison for what is essentially the rest of her life. By the end of this video, you'll understand how jealousy, obsession, and manipulation can transform an educated professional into a predator hiding in plain sight. Before we begin, if you're interested in more deep dives into complex criminal cases, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Now, let's uncover the twisted tale of Sheila Davalloo. Sheila Davalloo was born on May 11, 1969, in Iran. Her story begins like many American dream narratives. Her family emigrated to the United States in the mid-1970s, seeking better opportunities and fleeing the political turmoil of their homeland. Young Sheila showed exceptional academic promise, eventually earning her way into the prestigious SUNY Stony Brook, where she pursued a degree in biochemistry. But beneath the surface of this successful immigrant story, something darker was brewing. Sheila's intelligence, which should have been her greatest asset, would become the very tool she'd use to manipulate, deceive, and ultimately destroy lives. After completing her undergraduate degree, Sheila married her first husband, Farid Mousavi. But even in this early relationship, red flags appeared. While pursuing graduate studies at New York Medical College in Valhalla, New York, Sheila began an affair with a fellow student named Christos. The betrayal was so devastating that Mousavi filed for divorce upon discovering her infidelity. This pattern of deception and the inability to maintain faithful relationships became Sheila's calling card. She secured a position as a research scientist at Purdue Pharma in Stamford, Connecticut, a prestigious role that placed her at the center of a love triangle that ended in murder. By 2001, Sheila had married Christos, the man she left her first husband for. On the surface, they appeared to be a successful couple, both educated professionals living in a nice condominium in Pleasantville, New York. But Sheila's appetite for romantic drama was far from satisfied. At Purdue Pharma, Sheila met Nelson Sessler, a charming colleague who would become the object of her most dangerous obsession. What started as workplace flirtation quickly escalated into a full-blown affair. Sheila told Sessler she was divorced, hiding the fact that she was still very much married to Christos. But Sheila wasn't the only woman vying for Sessler's attention. Then came Anna Lisa Raymundo, a brilliant, accomplished woman who had earned her undergraduate degree from Harvard University and a master's degree from Columbia. Anna Lisa was everything Sheila feared she wasn't: younger, successful, and genuine. When Sessler began showing more interest in Anna Lisa, Sheila's world began to crumble. By late 2001, Sessler had made his choice. He ended things with Sheila and began a serious relationship with Anna Lisa. For most people, this would be heartbreak. For Sheila Davalloo, it was a declaration of war. The woman who had dedicated her career to creating life-saving pharmaceuticals was about to channel her scientific precision into something far more sinister. Sheila began stalking Anna Lisa, learning her routines, studying her weaknesses. She even purchased lockpicking equipment and borrowed her husband's night vision goggles, preparing for the brutal and heartless crime. November 8, 2002, started as an ordinary Friday for Anna Lisa Raymundo. The 32-year-old pharmaceutical researcher left for work as usual, never knowing that someone was watching her every move. What happened next shocked investigators with its brutality and calculated nature. Anna Lisa's body was discovered in the foyer of her waterfront condominium on Harbor Drive in Stamford. The crime scene was horrific. She had been stabbed 9 times in her face, neck, and chest, with one wound so deep it pierced her lung. She had also been bludgeoned over the head multiple times. The apartment showed clear signs of a chaotic, violent struggle. But here's where Sheila's intelligence became her weapon. This wasn't a random act of violence or a burglary gone wrong. Nothing was stolen from the apartment. There were no signs of forced entry. This was personal, calculated, and executed by someone who knew exactly what they were doing. The killer had tried to clean up afterward. In Anna Lisa's bathroom, investigators found diluted blood stains on the sink handle, evidence that the murderer had attempted to wash away the evidence. But they made one critical mistake. DNA analysis later revealed that both Anna Lisa's blood and the killer's DNA were present on that sink handle. Perhaps most chilling of all was the 911 call that brought police to the scene. A female caller reported seeing a man attacking a woman at the Harborview Drive complex. The caller seemed to know exactly where to direct police, providing specific details about the location. But as investigators later discovered, this wasn't a concerned neighbor reporting a crime, it was the killer herself, creating an alibi and directing suspicion away from the real perpetrator. The investigation initially stalled. Police had their suspicions but lacked concrete evidence to make an arrest. Anna Lisa's parents, Dr. Renato and Susan Raymundo, were devastated. They had lost their accomplished, beloved daughter to what appeared to be a random act of violence. Little did they know that the killer was someone their daughter worked alongside every day, someone who smiled at her in the hallways while planning her demise. 4 months, Sheila continued working at Purdue Pharma, maintaining her facade of innocence. She even comforted Nelson Sessler after Anna Lisa's death, offering him her shoulder to cry on. In one of the most twisted aspects of this case, Sheila actually rekindled her affair with Sessler in the aftermath of Anna Lisa's murder. She had literally killed her competition and was now reaping the benefits. But Sheila's victory was short-lived. Her obsession with Sessler was about to lead to another violent act, one that finally exposed her as the monster she truly was. March 23, 2003, forever changed Paul Christos's life and ultimately sealed Sheila Davalloo's fate. What happened that evening reveals the calculated, cold-blooded nature of a woman who viewed human lives as obstacles to be eliminated. Paul had been growing suspicious of his wife's behavior. She had become increasingly distant and secretive, often talking about workplace drama involving colleagues she called Anna Lisa, Melissa, and Jack. What Paul didn't realize was that these weren't fictional characters, they were real people, and his wife was intimately involved in their lives. Sheila had been telling Paul elaborate stories about this supposed love triangle, claiming she was trying to help Melissa catch Jack cheating with Anna Lisa. She had even asked to borrow Paul's night vision goggles for surveillance purposes. The story seemed bizarre but harmless to Paul, who trusted his wife completely. On that fateful March evening, Sheila suggested they play an intimate game involving handcuffs and blindfolds. Paul, having no reason to suspect his wife's intentions, agreed. Once he was restrained and vulnerable, Sheila revealed her true nature. She stabbed him twice with a paring knife while he was helpless to defend himself. But Sheila's plan was even more diabolical than it initially appeared. After stabbing Paul, she didn't immediately call for help. Instead, she delayed getting medical attention, presumably hoping he would die from his injuries. When she finally drove him to Westchester County Medical Center, she attempted to stab him again in the parking lot. Paul survived, but just barely. He required open-heart surgery to repair the damage from Sheila's attack. One of the stab wounds had come dangerously close to his heart. As Paul lay fighting for his life in the hospital, the pieces of Sheila's elaborate deception began to fall apart. During the investigation into Paul's stabbing, detectives discovered Sheila's affair with Nelson Sessler. They also learned that Paul's mysterious stories about Anna Lisa, Melissa, and Jack weren't fictional at all. Anna Lisa was Anna Lisa Raymundo, the murdered pharmaceutical researcher. Jack was Nelson Sessler, whom Sheila had been obsessively pursuing. And Melissa was Sheila herself. The realization hit investigators like a thunderbolt. The woman who had tried to kill her husband was also connected to an unsolved murder from just months earlier. Suddenly, the Anna Lisa Raymundo case had its prime suspect. With Paul Christos's stabbing, investigators finally had the key that would unlock the Anna Lisa Raymundo murder case. The connections were too numerous and too specific to be coincidental. Nelson Sessler, now understanding the full scope of Sheila's deception and violence, agreed to cooperate with authorities. He began recording phone calls and conversations with Sheila, hoping to gather evidence that would bring Anna Lisa's killer to justice. In one particularly chilling recorded conversation at a fast food restaurant in 2003, Sheila can be heard discussing the unsolved murder case. When Sessler pressed her about secrets she had been keeping from him, Sheila ominously replied, "That would make my life a lot more difficult," when asked about the events of November 8, 2002. The letters Sheila wrote to Sessler while in jail for Paul's attempted murder revealed the depth of her obsession. In one letter, she wrote about Anna Lisa, "Maybe I would have called her and warned her about you. I would have felt sympathetic and not murderous." These weren't innocent words. They were the confession of a killer who felt no remorse for her actions. Forensic evidence was slowly building against Sheila. The DNA found on Anna Lisa's bathroom sink handle was a perfect match. Voice recognition analysis of the 911 call that led police to Anna Lisa's body matched Sheila's voice patterns. Cell phone records showed Sheila had left Purdue Pharma for 2 crucial hours on the morning of Anna Lisa's murder. But perhaps most damning was Sheila's own behavior. Her elaborate stories to Paul about the love triangle, her possession of lockpicking equipment, her request for night vision goggles, all of these pointed to a woman who had been planning and executing a murder while maintaining the facade of a concerned colleague. In 2004, Sheila was convicted of the attempted murder of Paul Christos and sentenced to 25 years in prison. But investigators weren't finished with her. They spent years building an airtight case for Anna Lisa's murder, determined to ensure that justice was served. Finally, on November 6, 2007, almost exactly 5 years after Anna Lisa's murder, Sheila Davalloo was formally charged with first-degree murder. The woman who had thought she was clever enough to literally get away with murder was about to face the full weight of the justice system. By the time Sheila's murder trial began in 2012, more than 4 years had passed since her arrest. In a move that shocked legal observers, Sheila chose to represent herself, believing her intelligence and scientific background would help her manipulate the legal system. This decision would prove to be a catastrophic error in judgment. The trial became a fascinating psychological study of a narcissistic killer who believed she could outsmart everyone in the courtroom. Sheila's cross-examination of her ex-husband Paul was particularly disturbing. When prosecutors asked Paul to show his scars to the jury, Sheila broke down emotionally, not out of remorse, but seemingly out of self-pity. She later laughed off the incident, comparing herself to then-House Speaker John Boehner's tendency to cry. The evidence against Sheila was overwhelming. DNA analysis showed there was only a 1 in 8.5 million chance that someone other than Sheila had left the genetic profile on Anna Lisa's bathroom sink handle. Voice recognition experts testified that Sheila was almost certainly the person who made the 911 call reporting Anna Lisa's murder. But Sheila persisted in her defense, attempting to create reasonable doubt through technicalities and alternative theories. She pointed to inconsistencies in witness testimony, questioned the reliability of DNA evidence, and even suggested that other people could have been responsible for Anna Lisa's death. Her closing arguments revealed the depth of her delusion. Did the state prove that I was physically there on November 8, 2002? They can't do that, she claimed, despite the mountain of evidence against her. The jury saw through her manipulations. After deliberating for just a day and a half, they returned a unanimous guilty verdict on February 10, 2012. Sheila Davalloo was convicted of first-degree murder in the death of Anna Lisa Raymundo. During sentencing, Judge Richard Comerford didn't mince words. He described the murder as cold and calculated, referencing Dante's Inferno when discussing the circles of hell. Sheila was sentenced to 50 years in prison, to be served after completing her 25-year sentence for Paul's attempted murder. The combined sentences meant that Sheila would be behind bars until 2079, effectively a life sentence. She would be 110 years old if she lived to see her release date. Today, Sheila Davalloo remains incarcerated at Bedford Hills Correctional Facility for Women in New York, serving her sentence for the attempted murder of Paul Christos. She is currently serving her New York sentence in Bedford Hills Correctional Facility for Women. While she has admitted her role in Christos' attack, she claims she never meant to kill him. Even from behind bars, Sheila continues to maintain her innocence in Anna Lisa's murder. Currently, Davalloo is appealing her murder conviction and trying to clear her name before she begins serving her next sentence. I might not find out exactly who did it, but I will be exonerated. I feel like it's very easy to get convicted with very little evidence, she claimed in a 2020 interview. This statement reveals the continuing delusion and narcissism that drove her to kill in the first place. Despite overwhelming evidence, DNA matches, voice recognition analysis, and her own incriminating behavior, Sheila still believes she can manipulate her way to freedom. The case has had lasting impacts on all involved. Christos rebuilt his life after his near-death experience, but will forever carry the physical and emotional scars of his ex-wife's betrayal. The Raymundo family finally received justice for their daughter, but the decade-long wait for closure took an enormous toll on their lives and faith. Nelson Sessler, the unwitting center of the love triangle, has had to live with the knowledge that his romantic choices inadvertently led to murder. His cooperation with authorities was crucial in ensuring Sheila's conviction, but the weight of these events likely haunts him to this day. The story of Sheila Davalloo serves as a chilling reminder that intelligence and education are no guarantee of moral character. Here was a woman who had dedicated her career to developing medications that could save lives, yet she used that same analytical mind to plan and execute murder. What drives someone to cross the line from heartbreak to homicide? Was it pure narcissism, mental illness, or something even darker? The case raises uncomfortable questions about how well we really know the people around us, even those we love and trust. As you reflect on this case, consider these questions. How many warning signs did people miss along the way? Could Anna Lisa's murder have been prevented if Paul had recognized the danger signs earlier? And what does this case teach us about the masks that killers wear in everyday life? The pharmaceutical researcher who became a killer will spend the rest of her natural life behind bars, but the questions her case raises will continue to haunt us. Sometimes the most dangerous predators are the ones who appear most normal, most successful, most trustworthy. What are your thoughts on the Sheila Davalloo case? Do you think justice was served with her 75-year combined sentence? And what warning signs do you think people should watch for in their own relationships? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into cases that shock the world. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Till then, stay safe, stay informed, stay vigilant.